Item number 1, acceptance of minutes. I've not received the minutes from the 3/17 meeting. So we're just gonna go with the fact that we don't have them, okay? The minutes that Chris did for 4/26. Did we have any comments, questions? Do we want to accept the meeting minutes from April 26 as submitted?
I move that we accept the minutes of 4/26 as written.
As written, yeah, okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, so Larry moved. Steve second. I'm very slow at taking notes, so I'm sorry. All in favor?
Oh, do we have to? say
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Do we have to roll call?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah? Yeah, your name, okay. Chris?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Yes.
Steve? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. Larry, Steve, Chris, and Sarah, and Dawn. All right. I have on the updated agenda that I put out on the web, or I sent along last night for an update or discussion regarding the May 18th select board meeting. The three of us were there, but Paul, you weren't there, and I gave you an overview. Doug, you were there. Sarah wasn't there. Thought we'd just kind of review our thoughts on what was discussed and whatnot. Basically, what they were looking for was an update on where we stood at this time. There were some very direct questions and, but I think most of it, if I'm not mistaken, was more misunderstanding many of the decisions that were made, like holding back the 5 feet from the building. They were under the impression, many were under the impression, the ethereal there were people that were under the impression that that would be an extra cost. It should have been done in the demo contract, but we explained the fact that that was not, it was on purpose.
Right.
So that we would not damage the building that we're trying to, restore. Other things?
I thought they really wanted to make sure the exterior was done before winter. That was
Yes.
important.
Yeah,
And we tried to explain the fact that we didn't have a fine determination on the budget yet,
right.
and we couldn't really determine what the final product was going to look like until we knew what the budget was. And we tried to explain to them what construction cost had done between the time that this was voted on and now, so obviously that's still a wild card.
Mhm.
Right. And
They did want to make sure we could get heat in the building when winter came,
our schedule has us tentatively finishing documents by end of August, September, at which point we'll be working closely with Nickerson O'Day, so they would be able to start a lot of the work. And given that time, they should be able to get at least stabilize the building in time for winter. I mean, there's still 3-4 months of good
Yeah.
time to work
Yeah.
by
And
then.
during that time, I have to buy out the subcontracts
Right.
and whatnot.
And since they're on board now,
Yeah.
we'll be able to identify long lead items and things, and that,
Right.
assuming costs are on track, we might be able to order things earlier, windows, for example.
Mhm. So we're thinking then, as far as them being on site, taking care of some of the concerns that people are expressing, that it's still open, people can get in there, things like that. Without really having the budget established. I don't, how long, I guess.
Well, I'm
Some
thinking,
of the people are wondering how long it'll be open. If
I would imagine that they could go in there with plywood and seal things up at least, so that it's secure in that sense. Now, now that Nickerson O'Day is on board, they have a contract. They're working on an estimate, obviously, but I think that, if we ask them to do something like that, I'm sure they would,
Get that taken
get that
care
taken
of.
care
Do you
of.
think they could come in? I'm just thinking outside the box here and do the surgical demo, the last
We could
5 feet
probably try to do
to
that.
pretty that up. Everybody's
Yeah.
excited about how ugly
Right.
it looks.
Yeah,
Right.
that was
We could
part
do
of
an
the
early package
conversation.
for demo to
Yeah.
get that work done. I think that's possible. I'll talk to John Turk sends his apologies.
Oh.
He too is just coming off COVID.
Oh, no.
And he has,
Mhm.
he has arthritis and it flared up because of.
Yeah, that's the
Mhm.
autoimmune stuff
Yeah.
is really triggered.
Yeah.
So, but I think I can talk with John. He's back to work now and he's
Mhm.
fine. He just didn't want to come up.
Mhm.
But I think we could look at doing an early demo package. That way we could start to get everything,
Mhm.
and that's only going to help our process because we'll know a little bit more about
Right.
brickwork and what kind of repair we have to do there.
Right, right. One of the things that was brought up also is that as far as security on the property goes, we're asking our insurance company to make sure that whatever is done to the building to secure it meets with what their expectation is for controlling liability. So I'll follow up with Justin.
I talked to Justin today
Oh,
And-
good, okay.
just about that whole thing about the doors being open.
Mm-hmm.
He said they went up there and checked all the doors and they're all cabled, locked. So he wasn't sure where that information or misinformation
Right, okay.
was
But-
coming from.
Yes, but he has requested feedback from the insurance company.
We didn't talk specifically about the insurance company. I was just saying, what did you
Yep.
find? And,
Right.
I guess I don't understand what.
Well, I think what he was saying, I mean, when you look up into some of the areas, if there's an industrious youngster could scale a wall. and,
Right. And there's some loose masonry from where they demoed, obviously. It's
Right.
not all
I
cut.
think
perfect.
that's kind of what Kelvin was getting at.
Yeah.
Was that, kids, can be very industrious in their
Mhm.
ability to enter properties.
Yeah, all the
So-
more reason to get that demo done, get those
Right.
loose bricks and stuff down that
Yeah,
don't need to be there anymore.
I'll talk to Nickerson O'Day and see what they think of that and, sort of try to fit that into our schedule as well, like, at
yeah,
least so we can plan for it. I mean, maybe it happens in August and then we can start, or July or something, I don't know.
yeah,
The one thing in the back of my head is that obviously, once they start doing that, they would have to mobilize and we
and
want,
then you don't want to wait.
correct, so we want to
Exactly.
time it, but if we had the package, they could be doing final pricing while they're doing demo or
Right,
something.
and it would
Mhm.
just roll
So,
right there.
Yeah.
Right, so that's
So
why it's
that's-
great to have them on board because we can talk about that and
Right, so
plan for that.
Chris, that would be one thing I think, to make sure that the select board knows is that, we are working towards that end, but we don't want to have them come here, have to leave and then come back. That's extra cost. So we'll get right on that, but it could be a month and a half or more into July
We are, yeah,
potentially.
and we're still, Nickerson O'Day and John Turk and I are planning, I'm gonna try to do next week, come up, or not, maybe not next week, the week after, come up for a morning, anyone's welcome to join and sort
Okay.
of do a little bit more nosing around now that, investigative review of the building.
Mhm.
Now that things are demolished and we can see things, and I took a bunch of pictures earlier when I got here because I want to make sure we've updated our existing condition drawings and things like that. But that will probably inform the process a little bit more as well.
Right. And I think one of the other things is we don't want to, whatever we have them do to secure the property, doesn't cause them more work
Correct.
ultimately too.
Mhm.
We don't want to get it all pretty and then have to take it apart to do the real stuff.
Exactly. It's kind of, at some point, I mean, a piece of plywood and some blocking that's
Right.
to secure it so no one can get in without.
But otherwise,
set
as
of
far
tools
as
with them.
beautification goes,
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
Chris, you had a date that you were talking, that Lori was talking about their alumni.
August,
That's August.
yeah, I think it was beginning of August.
5th, I believe.
Um,
Yeah, Saturday, August 5th.
So one of the things, obviously, that I'm sure if she was here, she would speak to, will it be? It sounds like it probably won't be in a condition as yet. For
Well,
them,
But perhaps that's a
See.
goal to
okay,
get some of the demo done around that time.
so that they
And
can
that
see it.
There could be an event and we can also, by that point, we'll know much more. We can have some drawings and renderings of
Some
spaces
signage,
and
maybe
and
something.
signage and show people what's happening. I think,
Okay.
I mean, it'd be a good, and then if we had a schedule, we could even tell them, yeah, we're planning,
Oh, so this is the steps.
yeah, just
Okay.
I think information to the community from the experience that you've had with the select board is an important component of this.
Yeah, communication is key, and,
Yeah.
and if we do have drawings or,
Yep.
renderings or whatever, to be able to review, that probably would suffice for the alum, I would say.
Well,
Yeah,
it gives,
it's a great opportunity to fundraise with those folks.
Yeah,
right.
Mhm.
right,
So
just
if we have some plans out and just so they can see, the floor plan and some of the preliminary
Right.
we've made. If we
yeah,
have
and if it,
to them, I think it's a prime opportunity to fundraise. So
yeah,
As an aside, what we've done with other projects that have been in fundraising, which we're happy to do for this, is work with, the fundraising committee to identify rooms. And we've written narratives for the rooms, like as naming opportunities.
Oh,
Like if
okay.
someone wants to name the archive, we would do a narrative that says, the archive will be this, the function of the archive, but what kind of finishes it'll have and
Yeah.
how it'll be used. And obviously that's a collaborative effort, but
Right.
that way someone who might be interested in that could, for X dollars, and you can assign pricing to that. But
Mhm.
and we've done renderings of it. I mean, we've gone as far as with some cases where we've done like how your name would look on the building.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, those are to some people, that's pretty important, others not so much. but
Right, and
You might find.
and there's a whole process to that, and I know you're obviously in fundraising mode for sure,
Mhm.
but we could plan to do something by that August event
All right,
to be prepared for it. I mean, we could support your efforts with some
Mhm.
architecture or renderings or something of that nature.
okay,
yeah, so if we,
We may have sooner too.
front porch maybe, or the bell tower.
Exactly, yeah, those are all great ones, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what we can do is tell them how we would recognize them. So maybe it's a plaque in the lobby that lists out the pieces and the donors for those
Mhm.
parts, as opposed to putting people's names all over the place. I don't think that's highly as appropriate here as it would be if it was like a hospital or something.
right, yeah,
Mhm.
But there's ways that if we tell people how they're gonna be recognized, they're like, oh, well, that's nice. If I give money for the bell tower, there's a plaque in the lobby that my name will be
right.
on or something, whatever, obviously,
We can
whatever you
give
want,
any-
and whatever you
any
decide
value,
on.
yeah. Okay,
But we've been involved in a lot of those efforts, so we're happy to help.
okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, so we've talked about security.
You mentioned that you might be coming up in a week or so to do a little
Yep.
walk around. We're gonna have to talk to Justin to get access because nobody has access to the building.
Okay,
at this
Okay,
point.
at this point, we were looking at June
I'll
1st.
send him a note out, Steve.
We're looking at June 1st. We were planning to try to be up here for 8 AM. So
On what day? I'm sorry,
Wednesday, the 1st.
June 1st.
Yep.
8 AM.
And I'm not sure, John may stay longer. I've got to leave by 10, but I've got a couple
Okay.
hours, so that probably enough time to
All right,
start.
so I'll send a note out to Justin for how we can gain access. And another thing, this is a kind of an aside that I would think about talking about later, but since we're on that topic, what Steve and I can't remember if you and I talked about this, Larry, but during this whole discussion week before the select meeting, thinking about, because of Steve's knowledge in general contracting, if he could, if people are okay on the committee with him acting as we thought we had him acting earlier on as clerk, a clerk of the works for us, to be
I
the
like that.
contact
Mhm.
officially. So,
Do you want me to make a motion?
yeah, would you please?
I move that we make Steve Brown the clerk for the committee,
Mhm. Clerk of the works, yeah.
clerk of the work.
You'll second, is that Chris?
That's me.
or Sarah?
That's Chris.
Okay, seconded, all in favor? Name, yes, Sarah, yes? Yes, Dawn?
Yes, Larry.
Do I need to vote?
Yeah.
Yes.
Vote for yourself.
You can
I could vote,
accept or not.
okay, it doesn't matter.
Yes, Chris. Yeah, I planted that seed today as well.
Yeah, I think it's all in favor, yeah. Okay, I'm just taking my notes, hold on, okay, so. Just that. All right, yeah, I think that would be very, very helpful. And so I'll talk with Justin about making sure that however access is gained to the building and whatever information about the building and the needs goes through Steve.
Okay.
And you guys work with him
Great.
and we'll make sure that George primarily George,
Mhm.
as Randy is estimating, so,
So then they would give you a key to the buildings?
I would assume Justin would,
yeah,
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah.
a sash too.
yeah, I made a little pin, yeah,
yeah, something,
little hat with a,
yeah, something really
Yeah.
official looking.
but no, I think that would be invaluable, and
Yeah, great.
And also what I'm going to do, as long as everybody agrees with that, is I've asked to receive copies of all of the contracts so that as a committee, we can keep track of that and have everything, bills that were submitted, be submitted to me. And we'll have that with Nickerson and O'Day as well. So we're aware of what's going in, what's coming out, all of that as a committee. Because we're the ones to make the recommendations to the select board as to what amounts to be paid or not, or
Percentages of
percentages
completion.
of completion.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I have an Excel spreadsheet that I've been using to track costs as we know them
Okay.
more. I mean, so far
Yes.
it's been
Mhm.
demo. I'm happy to share. I need to clean it up a little bit. I
Well,
haven't updated it in the last month, but
Mhm.
I could share that if you.
that would be awesome.
Because
So
we put in placeholders for furnishings,
Right.
which who knows what we're doing, but we said, okay, there's $100,000 for furnishings. Well, we might want to use that for something else.
Something else.
But we could,
Yes.
but at least we know where it is and what
Around
we're
with- Right, and
taking.
it could be a topic of discussion on an agenda.
Correct. So, but I
we
can,
manage.
yeah, I can share that.
Yeah. I just think that with what we, one more thing, oil tanks. That was another item that was
Yes, that was
brought up.
brought up.
Yeah, are they gonna be removed or?
That was a question I could not answer.
Well, I
And
left a
don't
message
think-
for Justin. I called him up the next day and I said, did Linda have arrangements or plans for removing those? And
Mhm.
Linda and I had a discussion about that
Okay,
way back
Yeah.
when she was still here, and I thought she had some yards or something like that was all set up to do that.
well,
At
yeah,
the
and I
walkthrough, you
think,
mentioned that they were going to be removed. So I
Right.
believe, and I think
She and
I
I had
remember
talked
that,
about it, and I
yeah.
thought she had
see,
that
they're
all set
actually
up.
right out in that corner over there.
so it's too bad we've already done the
Right.
landscaping, so.
well, but they could also, once we go through that window, I'm sure they could come out that where we were just looking
Mhm.
earlier, that side of the building.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
because they're down the slope from the back of the building that we were talking about,
Right.
having the ramp down there.
oh, these are buried tanks?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of the tank that was in the basement.
no, there's two big
Apologies.
under,
Okay,
Yeah, and they're basically, they were parallel to the gym. So
Mhm.
they're along that back wall.
Okay.
You want to pass
Yeah.
that down?
So it would be, it's a shame to have to tear that ground all up again, but.
Yeah.
Well-
But I do think it's obligation to get them out of there.
No,
I
yeah.
think they've been drained.
They have,
They've come
yeah.
in-
Stanley said they did.
Corner back there
Oh,
from
okay.
where the old gym was.
oh, all right. It was just regrading and seeding. I mean, you want to get them out because of
Is there a law that we should get them out or?
we
what?
need to get them out, but it doesn't have to be like tomorrow. It could be when we start. the rest of
Right,
the-
right. No, I don't think from what I understand that
That
there
would-
was a
that
certain
would-
amount of urgency
Okay,
to it because they've been drained. I think
Correct.
there's less than like maybe a couple of inches potentially in the
That's
bottom.
what,
It's
that's
mostly
what he
sludge.
said.
I
Right.
think you've got a year
Right.
from demo.
So we should probably check on that. Should that be something that the Maine Municipal would be able to?
Yeah.
We ought
inform
to
us?
check with Justin
Yep.
to see if he has anything in the files left over from when Linda was here.
Or removal.
But yeah, I would suggest that we wait until we start.
Oh, yeah, I don't
just to
think
get
that
them out of
needs to be a
there
mobilization.
Yeah.
I don't- Yeah, yeah,
That way.
okay. Back to, basically what we feel with the discussions that we had at the, town meeting, at the select board meeting is as long as we're feeding the, and Chris, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but as long as we're feeding the select board information on a regular basis and making sure that we get their questions and concerns answered, and the back and forth going, pretty consistently, I think we can undo some of the, or at least inform rather than let people guess what we're doing.
Right.
Chris, does Lori still have that Facebook page for Monmouth Academy or the town? Can we put something on a town site?
We can do that, but the thing that I've decided is that no matter how much information that we put out there, there's always going to be some people that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you can't please all of
But
them.
we should try to hit the center of the bell curve. There's
Right.
some that, well, don't care and some care a lot and the rest
Well,
of
and
them
if
just want
somebody-
information.
Says we didn't know, you can always point them to say, well, we've posted it all here, just so you can keep watching
Exactly.
the site or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think, the guessing, the assuming that, that we didn't complete the demo. We paid all this money and didn't complete the demo. I think that was a major
Right, there was.
burr under people's saddle.
Yeah.
And the clarification that it was part of the plan.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But also, the fact that all the information's out there for people
Yeah.
to get. And, I made it clear that they can go on into the YouTube channel and watch any of the meetings or read any of the minutes
right.
that are all posted. So if they,
And the RFP for the demo, it even
Yeah.
talks about that 5-foot.
Right.
Right.
That's,
setback.
yeah.
And that's on
If
the
they had
town
looked at the
website.
RFP, right, it would have said it right there.
I mean,
It
that's a
would've
bit
right
picky,
there.
but still, it's, you've got backup if someone didn't
Yeah.
think it was the plan all
Yeah.
along.
Exactly.
That-
Exactly.
the fact that, it's like a telephone game, one person says one thing and then by the time it gets
Right.
through people, it's exploded into, craziness. And I told Justin that I'm gonna protect the committee and the building. I don't care what people think about me, but I care about what they think about the committee and what we're doing. And
Yeah.
want to ever feel like I'm getting lined up against a brick wall again. And that's what really got me upset. So, and made the nurses come in to find out why my blood pressure was going through the roof.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I know that there are those that no matter what we do, but
Exactly.
I think the rest of them, at least whether or not they agree with what we're doing, at least they're not having to guess. And yes, they could go look, but sometimes people would much rather be fed that. And if it's easy to do by just giving them, consistently, just a brief update. This is, these are the questions that we heard last meeting. These are the answers. What other questions do you have? Because I think keeping that going back and forth doesn't have to be long dissertations, but going back and forth where we're putting ourselves in a situation where we've got chips out that could be called in a pinch.
Mhm.
So,
Could set up, if you don't have a Facebook page, we could set one up for the project.
Well, we do have one and,
Yeah.
for fundraising, that Facebook page might, and you can even put on the sign out there, check us out on Facebook and.
Right, people could actually make donations probably through the page. even.
right.
Mhm.
I mean, smaller.
Yeah,
but-
and that's another thing that we probably should, get for information for our next meeting is what do we think the turnaround time would be for getting a sign?
Okay.
You know, just that,
Yeah, that
it
would
doesn't
be-
have to be a detailed rendering, but, you know, this is what, you know,
Mhm.
what where we are now and, you know, a month from now, see what's going on or whatever.
Yeah,
Just so we can have an idea of saying.
Well, that was one thing they talked about is this, you know, how's this gonna progress? How much time is it gonna take? How long is it gonna set like this?
right.
You know, those questions were raised
A couple times.
a couple times at the meeting. Yeah, they want to know how long it was gonna take to make it pretty again.
Right.
Well, we will have a schedule shortly that Nickerson O'Day will author and will input information, and that can also be published. I mean, we can put a caveat that it's a tentative schedule, because this stuff comes up and that you have to modify, it has to be dynamic, but at least there's a plan.
Yeah,
When is the fair?
June
1st of June, yeah.
Ooh,
17th through the 20th.
so we're not gonna have anything done to it between now and then to make it any prettier
No.
or safer or anything.
Well, we might want to extend the fencing a little bit around the back. I'm just concerned with people getting close, even because of the way those blocks are.
Well, if even, you know, fencing or caution tape or anything to, not that that's gonna keep anybody out.
No, but it cuts your liability down,
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is
Mhm.
I think
important.
that's,
I mean,
yeah.
you know,
so-
some grade stakes and caution tape.
right.
And that will be important because there are a lot of people that with campers. So, I mean, that fairground is gonna be filled with campers and strangers in
I
town.
thought the sign I saw was like the 20th or the 17th.
No, it's early this year,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, was that like last year's sign? I just drove
Yeah.
past it. And I was,
It's, I think that week, maybe the 20th,
I thought it was the beginning of the month. No?
no. There's a little race on the 18th, I think, which is maybe a Sunday or Saturday.
oh, I could try to get a job sign up by then.
And then that.
Yeah, that'd be great if we could get a job sign up.
It's in there.
That would be.
Let's shoot for mid-June.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just a 4x8. I just have to print it.
Yeah.
On the
Yeah.
fair.
The website says it's June 22 to 25.
Oh, okay, so I thought it was the second,
No,
but it's the 22nd?
22, did she say to 25?
Yeah, 22.
22 to 25.
Thank
well,
you.
that's good. Yeah, that gives us till the end of the month to get that job sign up.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah, and we can talk with Nickerson O'Day. They had something in their budget for a job sign.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know we'll put the project team, we can put anything you want on the sign, just let us know.
Mhm.
And we'll do, see if we can do it by then. I'd love to have like an interior rendering of the hall.
Oh, yeah.
That would be
I
great.
think that's.
That would be
something we can put
super.
together. I mean, with just some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the way we're saying it, but I'll go over a little bit what we're
Okay.
thinking
All right.
in a moment, but.
Mhm.
Just being in this school and working with kids, what about just a sign? I know it's not going to be pretty, but something like a no trespassing. I know we have one, but something like violators will be persecuted. So
Something stern wording.
Stern wording.
I think that we're going to have kids this summer who are going to really want to go in that. I mean, I know.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. Oh,
I-
you're talking to
I would
one
wanna-
who would have done that. I know.
I would want to try to climb.
Look at me, I'm up here. Yeah, so that's something that we really do need to consider again, but we don't want, we want it to be effective and affordable too. We don't want to be doing double duty.
Right.
So, okay.
That fencing that's up there now, did the town install that or did they,
Justin did, yeah.
do they own that or did they rent that? Do you
They
know?
own it.
They own it.
They own it?
But the demolition company will buy it. Scott
Yeah.
said, if you buy some fencing, I'll buy it after you finish with it.
Oh,
Also.
in other words, if the town purchases it, then when they'll buy it for their next project or something. Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
yeah, so you can at least sell it back.
Yeah.
Well, that might be a good idea to get some of that up before the fair. I mean, we
Yeah,
could look
I
into
agree.
that. You know, because there's,
You want
Oh,
to
there's
take care of that?
be a lot of out of state or out of town people
Yeah.
there and
We should definitely get a sign up to give some information about what's happening.
Yeah.
But
do you have a source for that sort of fencing?
fencing, I can ask, actually Nickerson O'Day would most likely have one.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, they'll know, because they would
something.
typically be the ones to get it.
Mhm.
Yeah, because when I talked to George, he said that if they absolutely can include it in their budget, you know, it's a line item. So, you know, what do we want? And, you know, like you say, Sarah, there's kids that would want to access that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's gone around the side, but I would enclose that lower platform and then
Yeah,
around the other side. Actually, the back isn't as much of an issue, but both ends where there's demo, because there's
loose block.
there's
right?
loose block and
masonry.
it's like end access points. So
Mhm.
that would be the place to enclose.
Yeah, I think, you know,
It couldn't be too expensive for that, but
no. So do you want me to ask Justin, or do you want to talk with him about that?
if you want to, go ahead. If you have a reason to see him.
Yeah, I'll send him a note anyways about the
Okay.
other stuff.
You have contact stuff for Nickerson O'Day for
Yeah.
George and.
Yeah, I don't know if you do, but I can get that for you.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
they'll
that'd be
be
good.
good to connect with them as
Mhm.
well. They've been good to work with.
Hope I can read my handwriting. I'm so awful at minutes. Fencing, Justin, and then contact Nick and O'Day to Steve. Okay, I can do that. All right. Is there anything else that we responded to at the meeting that you guys can think of that we haven't
Not that I can
discussed?
think of. I think
Yeah,
we-
those are the critical
Yeah,
points.
Chris, can you think of anything that we missed talking about the meeting that Paul might be interested in?
I don't think so. I mean, the other thing that I'll try to do, if there's new information that is part of the select board meetings, is select board reports. So if anything new and striking happens or something comes up, I can have it as one of my, my select board report to try to get it out there. But the thing that I impressed upon Justin today is there's really never been a project like this. I think we've never had a building that, started to, rebuild. I think maybe the most recent thing was the, when the new town office was built, or
Right, okay.
the addition on Cumston. But I think that, those were sources. So, this is something really new. None of us have ever really done it before. And having guidance and somebody being present through the whole thing to give us the parameters and make sure that the things are happening and going the way that it's supposed to, and with communication, that's really important. So, I've never been a part of anything like this before.
Right,
So
right.
it's learning for all of us. And I'll try to put it in my select board report whenever we have something new and exciting to add.
Yeah, that would be good. I think just keeping the bulk of people who are kind of interested and not fussy, just keep them informed. And if they're not willing to come here, but they're talking to their people that they know on the select board, then the select board can actually even, dispel
Mhm.
any of the, like you say, the phone the phone game.
Telephone game, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And, put a stop to how rumors grow and how, angst gets supercharged.
Mhm.
So. All right. Paul, do you have any other questions about what we?
No, this was great. Thank you
Okay.
for sharing all that.
All right, so let's move on to item number 4, your thoughts on interior design and
Sure.
whatnot.
I thought I'd just to back up a sec, just
Yeah.
update you. So I think some of you joined the meeting, but we had a while ago, we had a kickoff meeting with the full team, the full
Like
design
3 weeks
team.
ago, yeah.
Yeah, with the mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, Nickerson O'Day, John and I, and Trillium Engineering, who are doing survey, civil
Right.
and structural. So that was good. We got a lot of things sort of set moving forward. We presented the same plan that we presented to you so that everyone's on board with that. And we've been since then moving ahead with developing documents for in the design development phase, as we've been discussing, and conveyed all that to Nickerson O'Day. One of the things that we also generated, what they started and we've added to, is sort of the beginning, I'll call it, it's more of like an outline specification that basically talks about things that we're doing for the project, materials that we've selected, things that will happen. And this will be sort of a living document, but I thought I'd sort of briefly go over this just to let you know what we're thinking. And this is also informing the cost estimate as well. So, so scope of work by trade with concrete, we talked about repair. We did talk about a goal to eliminate the ramp and trying to do a site graded access to the accessible door. That'll save money, but also makes it a little bit more accessible and a little bit more friendly. You don't have all these ramps to go through.
Absolutely.
And we think we could do that with grading, and Civil agreed. Obviously, we're preparing documents to do all the brick repointing, and now we're seeing more of it, so that'll continue. Rough carpentry is going to include the bell tower and the blocking, and there'll be more exploration that'll happen with that. Finished carpentry is, we started to talk a little bit about interior finishes, interior woodwork, the rebuilding the bell mechanism and all of that, which was in wood. So that's all happening. From an insulation standpoint, the walls in the hall, since we're not doing any work, we don't have to bring them up to the new energy code. At least that's our belief at this point. But given that we have the whole attic, we would like to bring the roof up to an R49 with blown-in cellulose insulation, which will do a lot for energy efficiency in the building, as well as replacing the windows. But we're hoping that we don't have to do a lot to the exterior, the inside of the walls of the hall. We've been calling it the T, right? On the back part of the T, we're actually replacing most of the walls there. So that'll be new finishes, but the hall, we're trying to not lose space.
Right, and doing R49 that slows that.
Correct.
Back effect.
And on the rest of the building, because we assume there's not a lot of insulation, we would do an interior wall and put an R20 insulation in there, which with the brick being some. So these are our goals for energy efficiency. We think we'll probably do the same thing in the basement to try to get some insulation down there, especially the exposed walls. So doing our best to bring the building up to energy efficiency. Like I said, the code, because we're not touching some of the walls, we don't have to, but we feel it'll save you with energy costs in the future. So
Which is important.
yeah, so that's our strategy. For the roofing, we've identified a product that is a slate-like product. It's porcelain tile. It's made by Dow Tile. It's a United States made product, and we're pricing it. We're hopeful because we think a slate roof would look really attractive on the building, even though it's asphalt now. If that's out of the budget, we will drop to a shingle, but we kind of put in our wish list items for pricing at this point. So
We can do,
but we think that getting a really lovely roof on it and one that looks authentic in the period would be an important step. So we've started there.
How long does a porcelain tile last? I mean, is it something like a 50-year or more?
100-year, I think we're looking at. Yeah.
You know, that would be better than.
Yeah, no, it's longer lasting than the asphalt. And it's a product that's been used, it's used residentially as well. We're basically in a big house here in terms of
That's
scale.
what it is.
There are other products out there that are slate-like, that are composite, but this one being porcelain it's a very durable material, and it works like slate, but it doesn't have the cost of it.
Right.
So we obviously need to make sure that that'll work with structure and all that, but just to give you a sort of thinking to try to get the exterior of the building to perform and not give you long maintenance items.
Right. Yeah, that's
So-
important.
So we can weigh the balance of an extra cost versus ongoing maintenance to the town at some point, if that's
Yeah,
important.
balancing ongoing maintenance
Um,
versus.
The windows, we'll be replacing all the windows. We're looking at even Marvin Ultimate or Pella Impervia as our initial thoughts, looking at a fiberglass window. Fiberglass is a cost-effective solution, but also has a more historic profile in terms of a thinner profile because it's a stronger material than vinyl or wood. So we can get back to actually the more historic look. So and we've done this with other projects as well. And it's what we do is we actually take out everything to the brick and we put in a replacement window. So you get a very small edge. And that's how they built them originally. And we've got some details that John and I have been working on.
So it's fiberglass?
Yeah, so fiberglass. And obviously we'll color probably
Yeah.
white as we've got, but and the inside could be fiberglass. There's no painting to be done on fiberglass,
Yep.
so maintenance issue there. And it'll look like a wood window, but it will perform well. For the doors, we're hoping to refurbish the front door, but also we would add panic hardware and closers to the interior to meet code. We're looking at for the vestibules in the back. Again, this is all basis of design now. We're looking at a wood door, but the exterior would be clad in metal. We started with a Marvin door. We like their commercial door as a spec. We can tweak that as necessary, but the inside would be all wood and then the outside would be wood on the inside face and the outside would have a metal clad. So, and we're creating vestibules again on each side. That's for energy efficiency.
Would those be like a pre-finished?
Yes,
So you wouldn't have any paint?
correct. We do a clear finish on wood. I think we haven't really picked a wood species yet,
Right.
but we could stain it and it could be, again, we feel it'll be historically appropriate. Let's see, side vestibules I just talked about. The interior doors, I specified just a wood door for replacement doors that would from Simpson, which is we can probably get some panels to match what was there. So it has sort of a historic look. We don't need to go to industrial hollow metal doors.
Right. Yeah.
We may do metal frames, but the doors themselves could be wood.
Mhm.
Then obviously gypsum board and then for flooring. I'm going to pause on that one because I have some things to show you. Ceilings, what we're looking at in a number of the spaces would be just for economy, like a 24 this basically a 2x2 ceiling. Although in the some spaces we'll do a painted sheetrock ceiling, so it'll look more like wheels.
Right. Right.
Then in the hall itself, actually in the archive, we're looking at an acoustic ceiling that actually has like a linear wood look to it. We thought we'd update the archive with a little bit, but it's still a lay-in tile. And it's a product that we've been looking at. It's made in Texas. We've used it a number of times. It's more expensive than this, but it's not a big room. And I think it would dress up the room and make it feel again. And we can pick up different types of wood and it's a recycled material as well. So it's got a lot of environmental pieces. Then I don't want to take all your time on this.
It's okay.
For the hall, this is the ceiling is a drop ceiling. What we kind of want to do is, we know we have an acoustic issue in the hall and that's our opportunity is the ceiling. And we'd like to sort of redesign that in a way where we have a hard ceiling with some acoustic panels that might start to look like coffering or baffles that kind of play off the geometry of the windows and create. We don't have a lot of images of what the hall looked like inside, but we're trying to create a ceiling that would perform acoustically, but also sort of bring back some of that. It was a simple space, as you know, but we think we can do something tone on tone, white on white, that would just be a nice look. And that's something that we'll be talking more about. We put a placeholder in for some acoustic panels in there. Then let's see, what else do I have here? We found a wainscot panel product that we're starting to explore for what we've been calling the main the crush space, but the space outside the hall. So when you walk in the vestibules, there's that large space. We think there would be nice to get a wainscot on the outside walls. And we found one that's an MDF product that can be painted or stained, and it was actually very economical. So we picked that up, but we kind of want to bring that back. I know a lot of you spoke about that. So a little, just to make that room feel, trying to do something a little bit in
So you're
each
not just
room.
walking into like sheetrock and.
We talked about also having some casework in some of the spaces where you could have like a little sidebar, and if you were serving something or whatever. Let's see. We did talk about putting roller shades in the windows. So those will be priced, but obviously we can talk about that. We're not anticipating a sprinkler system, but I believe we discussed pricing it.
Getting at least a price.
Yeah.
I've heard from a couple of different people that they would really like to know if that's manageable.
A sprinkler system would allow you to have occupied space on the lower floor. Right now, otherwise we'd have to do a 2-hour separation, but we can easily get a price. That's a square foot cost. So
That's
so
all
that could be done. And
it's at least being considered.
Yep. For the mechanical systems, we are assuming that we would have ducted heat pumps. And then we would have energy recovery ventilation for the large hall, assuming we would mount the equipment on the second floor area.
Right.
We talked about vibration isolation was important. And then we would do air conditioning as an alternate price.
That size building though, heat pumps.
Yeah,
I mean-
for the back rooms, we should be fine. And it's just the hall. We want to make sure we can get heating and cooling in there. And that needs to respond quickly because you keep it cool, you get people in, you got to cool it or warm it
It's
up
just pretty
before.
quickly, yeah.
So an air system will be good for that. We're gonna do all of the toilets as floor mounted because it saves wall space, but we'll probably still do flush valves. We assume there's enough water pressure for that. We're working with Reflex Lighting as well as our lighting engineer to select fixtures. Most of it is going to be, we're doing just simple LED recessed cans in the spaces to try to keep it, instead of going with troffers like this, keeping it a little bit more residential feel, but with commercial fixtures. In the main hall, we've been looking at wall sconces as well as some pendant fixtures. Currently, we're looking at this company called Crenshaw that does sort of custom. We've been looking at just large, it's sort of a large globe that has a little bit of a metal strap to it, which I think would feel appropriate to the space. And those could be the house lights, as it were. And then utility lighting when we need to. Let's see. Then I think that was what I had other than flooring. So for flooring, what we thought about was a couple of things. So first off, the hall, we'd like to explore refinishing the wood floor that's there. If it proves to be not refinishable, we've asked them to price. We haven't picked any actual colors, but in terms of a product, this is an engineered commercial wood floor. There's two price points. There's an MDF core, and then there's a veneer core, but it's a true oak laminate, and we think a wood floor in that space would be really nice. And this would be an economical way of getting that back if it's not about refinishing. Then
Is that refinishable?
this particular brand is refinishable one time.
One time, yeah.
There is one that we've used that's refinishable 3 times. It's just more expensive to start with, but we could explore that. It's easy enough once we have areas to price out different products. This is one we've used a lot, and it just performs well. And it's got a commercial finish on it.
Interlocking?
I do have, this was one of the other ones, but they do so it's glue down or nail down. This is the thinner core. If we have a height issue, we may look at that. But it is, these are wide plank. I think we want to go narrower.
Yeah, that's for the age of the building.
Yeah, so we're, but they come in different widths. So that's the strategy for that. As a placeholder for bathrooms and things, we've just selected a large format concrete look tile. Comes in other colors, but it's just smooth, small joints, big pieces, easy to clean, durable. So that's bathroom and utility rooms. And then for the entrances, we're looking at a walk-off mat, pretty neutral, but this will be the first line of defense in getting stuff off people's shoes. It's not the prettiest thing, but it's important to keep the building
The rest of the
clean.
building, right.
we're going with J&J Flooring is one that we started with on this project because of a product they carry, which I'm going to show you in a moment. For the archive and the office, we thought we're just going to use this is a plank tile. Obviously, there are a million patterns we can choose from. We started with a gray neutral because this is a mid-level price point, and we just want to get placeholders in the budget for that. And then the product that we're looking at for the main the crush space, the main hall, is this interesting product, which has a fully recycled back. The front is knit and embossed, so it's a carpet. So it helps acoustically, but it performs like a resilient floor. It's a very cool technology.
Yeah,
And it's a tile, so you can replace it. It comes in many, many colors,
that's cool.
but we thought we just started with a gray just to keep it safe. But
Sarah and Chris, you want me to hold those up? Can you see them?
and I can leave these here if you want.
Yeah, if you want to pass them down, I'll.
But it's a nice product because it'll soften the sound in that space.
Is that a glue down?
Can you see?
It
I don't know
can
where the
also be
camera is.
loose laid with tiles, but it probably.
And
glues
it's
down
kind of got
in
this
case.
felty
I don't
back.
think- I don't know what we'll find under there, but I think we
Can
need,
we pass those down?
Yep.
You know, hold them up?
of course, yeah. I'll
What is
just,
that tile?
Some options
Yeah.
on the entry.
and then this is
Doors.
the MDF core.
It's
It's not.
The rubber back.
These are more of a placeholder, but yeah, so these are all products that have high recycled content. They're very environmentally friendly. Wherever we can, we don't have a goal for being certified or any metrics, but wherever we
Right.
can, we want to use recycled products and products that are healthy. These don't off
Maybe
gas.
for the hall.
And then the porcelain for the bathrooms and things like that.
And for the
So-
bathroom's kind of a concrete.
And
Easy.
You do that on top of like
like
Sluter?
Yeah,
That tile?
yeah.
I was
16
wondering
by
over that old
16.
I mean-
floor if we've got movement in there.
What we could do in the bathrooms, if, I don't want to get too deep into interior design, but we could do a mosaic pattern that would have been appropriate to the period in the bathroom. That might be kind of fun, but that would be in the same price point. So we've put that as a placeholder, and we can talk more about that, like using mosaics. This is Dow tile, again, American made, but they make a mosaic in pre-colored patterns that we could
Right,
do, like a border or
Yeah.
like a hexagon or something that
Mhm.
kind of would work to the history of the
That would
building.
look good in the bit for the,
Yeah, it could be kind of fun in that room with
Mhm.
maybe a border. I don't know what the original bathrooms look like, but they
Right.
probably were something like that.
I would imagine.
Or we could go neutral. So we're gonna have many more
That's where the-
discussions about finishes,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, where the money falls and what.
exactly.
yeah.
So,
I just have one question
Yeah.
about the bathroom. I had some clients and she built a beautiful horse barn, but they told her she had to put a urinal in addition to a seat, a toilet. Do we don't have to put a urinal in?
So we have been doing the unisex bathrooms like we're talking
Okay.
about now. We've spoken with the state fire marshal and we've spoken with a number of town officials. We're doing it in a few places. And we don't need to put a urinal.
Okay, I just wanted-
Because they're almost like each individual. So what we've done in some places is we've done the accessible, the handicap stall. We've actually put a sink in that
okay.
Right.
stall,
Right.
which also meets requirements. I don't think we'll have a lot of issues with the town
No, but-
planning office.
No, I think the only time that I've seen anything where they were considered family or unisex bathroom, they were
Right,
a large bathroom with the sink, a toilet, and urinal.
right. Yeah, I don't believe we will.
And I
We
don't think
haven't.
we have the space to do something like that. We're doing our water closets.
Right, the code is not caught up yet with the trend of these
Mhm.
full room bathrooms,
Mhm.
which is a European trend, but it also makes sense in
Mhm.
a large hall space because
When it-
women are always in line and men are not. right?
Exactly.
So this provides more fixtures for more people, but we've not come across that. The code actually in their chart, the reason that what you're coming from is it says you need to provide X number of urinals and water closets by gender.
This was for a horse barn, and I mean,
Yeah,
the lady was
that's-
upset that I had.
Where
to
was
use it.
she, local or?
It's a beautiful octagonal shaped barn on.
Interesting.
Sabatis Pond.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, we'll have the conversation again, but the state
Okay.
fire marshal
I
in terms of accessibility is on
Yeah.
board with it.
Yeah.
And we've convinced the town of Yarmouth. We're looking at it here and there's another project where we're looking at it. trying to cut down the number of fixtures. I mean, we're
Yeah,
providing the
I
fixtures
agree.
that we
I
need
agree.
Absolutely.
for the occupancy, but let's not put in.
No, I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's kind of the basis of design for a lot of things for new materials. Obviously, we'll be, restoring brick and all those other things that we talked about, but we've tried to put placeholders in so that we can get some good budget numbers early so that we can have conversations about what's to prioritize, in terms of maybe we'd like to do that tile mosaic in the bathrooms because it would be fun. Is the proper way of saying it. One of the things that we found with unisex bathrooms is that if you make the experience kind of like well-designed, it's a little less intimidating for people who aren't used to that.
Right.
Like we're doing in Yarmouth, we've got 5 bathrooms and we're painting each one of them a different color. So when you open the door, it's like this, the red stall, it's the blue stall, because they have a lot of kids there.
Yeah.
Right.
In their music program. And we thought it would be fun. It would just be more fun to go to the
Right,
bathroom than
exactly.
like weird,
Yeah.
And we put a family bathroom as well because that for little
That's
kids, it's
helpful,
great.
right,
In any case, so maybe there's a nice tile floor in just the main part of the bathroom
Right,
that makes people feel like, oh, this is so
right.
feels historic or something like that. And again, we'll talk about all these things, but really this was about an exercise of trying to get some pricing and some real materials so that we can at least have conversations about what's important and where we might cut and where we don't want to cut.
Okay.
That's what I got.
All right, well, thank you, Paul. It's you guys, were you able to catch all of that and get an idea? Good, okay.
Really cool
Um,
floor is salvageable, the old original one. That would
I
be.
know. Yeah, oh, if we can refinish the floor in there, that would be amazing.
I'm optimistic that we will be able to,
Yeah, that'd be so
because
cool.
even if it's a little rough, I think it would be.
I don't think
really
anybody's
nice.
gonna mind.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that would be nice. So I just wanted to have a plan B.
Yeah,
And that's why I thought a commercial wood floor would be good. But I mean, we may want to put a wood floor in the outside the space, but I kind of do like having
I think
a
it
soft
tamps,
material.
yeah, it tamps down the
Yeah. And that's
activity.
pretty much waterproof,
Right,
actually.
right.
So,
Okay. All right, move on to the next item. Thank you so much, Paul. Move on to the next item, fundraising. Sarah, you want to give us an update?
I honestly don't have an update with regard to the grant writing. What I'm finding is that people would like a plan, an actual plan of what we're doing. So
Understand.
as soon as that document's available, I can do a lot more with the grant writing. They want that in a finalized budget. That's
Right, yeah,
Right.
they're looking for specifics.
They want specifics, yes.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm finding, especially like if we're looking for big grants.
yeah. Now, how many, just curiosity, how many you're looking at tell us how many you're looking at and what the opportunities are.
Right now,
Two?
but
Okay,
and if there's anyone who wants to help, I know Larry has sent me some information. If anyone is interested in helping me find the grants, I'm so open. I really,
okay.
I'm good at writing them once I have the materials. But I would definitely welcome the help. looking
Okay.
at grant opportunities.
Okay,
Um,
Doug?
Would it help as far as getting grants if this were on the National Registry of
I
Historic?
think have we had that conversation?
It would help for some grants, like the Davis Foundation will only give to buildings. And what we could do is, after this is all done, we could then apply for National, Historic Registry building based on its use, that it has great historic significance. And not that it's actually, restored as such.
Mhm.
So we may still be able to get it on there, but as a historically significant place of things that happened.
I agree. I think having it done after the building.
Yeah, I would
It
rather do
affords us
that.
a little bit more flexibility.
Right.
Not that we're gonna do something inappropriate, because we are talking about a
Right.
pretty traditional restoration, but I think
Right,
Yeah, and they're not often concerned with the interiors. It's mostly the exteriors.
Exterior, right. Yeah.
So, and we're restoring that. So I think
Mhm.
you'd be well positioned to
I think we
apply for
would
it.
Mhm.
So trying to get a grant or trying to do that pre restoration wouldn't work very well.
I don't think it would, and they only do it once a year. I mean, they'll evaluate it, but they only make their determination once a year. We probably already missed that period, so. I think it'd be better to wait until it's all done and then make the application.
Mhm.
And Sarah, I can help you with the Stephen King, how we can tell them what we would use the money for. So I've got some ideas and I'll be glad to help you with that when you go to write that grant.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good opportunity.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have an industrious friend who doesn't live in town, but she's always writing grants for people and looking up things. She does a lot in her hometown, and I'll just reach out and see what her thoughts are.
I would suggest probably interfacing with Nickerson O'Day as well.
Yes, yeah,
Because they may be aware of some opportunities from past projects.
Yeah.
That we could, and I will ask John Turk as well.
okay, for suggestions.
And I was gonna tell Chris, if you look in Cumston Hall where they have the quilt artwork, it's surrounded by donors for that. And the Snyder family, there were like 2 or 3 different Snyder family foundations that donated for that. And I think the Snyders also donated towards the DFD Russell Medical Center.
Oh.
So maybe if we contact the Snyders, maybe they would be willing to donate something significant for this project.
I have another question. That sculpture or
The Mustang?
Yeah.
what, is there any kind of thoughts about that or what to do with it?
Well, I think we've known it's there, we've talked about it, but I don't think any decisions have been made as to where it could be.
Maybe for the final landscaping or something,
Yeah, we've talked about trying to identify a place for it and
Yeah.
reusing it. I mean, I don't think anyone had any in the history of it. And I think it maybe was a polarizing piece in terms of sculpture. I liked it. I don't know if everyone else did.
I like it, but that's what I've heard too, is a polarizing piece. Some
Mhm.
really liked it and some were like, what the,
Yeah, I mean, it's of a period that's not the same as the building, but I think we could find a place for it. I
nor
mean,
is this. You know,
right.
So there's,
So not necessarily on this piece of property, but
could be somewhere.
Maybe
Yeah.
down by the patio,
Yeah.
it's,
No, I think we could find a place.
Well, yeah.
I'm sure
I think we
there's-
should. I bet you David Bartlett would know the history of
That's
that.
true, you're right.
Oh, good.
Probably,
he was
would, 'cause
probably
that's
the
about that-
principal
About
and-
that
yeah.
time, yeah, yeah.
As we develop the landscaping and the exterior, I think we can look for opportunities of where we might suggest it goes, and then that can be a discussion point, obviously, but I mean, you have it, it's an interesting piece. It might be it's always nice to have a little art.
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree.
Might look more closer to this building
Right.
than to that building as far
Right,
as.
and that's the thing, because this
you know.
is, I think this is newer than that, but.
Right.
But it still is that same kind of,
Or even a transition to the fairgrounds.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so. Okay, Chris, I know you have been down and out, so,
I'll be back at it here. I'm gonna reach out to Bates Mill and find out or make sure that, Ben and why can I not think of Bianca, know that and remind them that I had asked them for some blankets for the alumni and then again for the Apple Fest. So I'm gonna make sure they know that and touch base with them. And I'm still trying to get a hold of a current spreadsheet because I had sent out, I don't know, probably 10 or 15 letters to businesses and then former teachers. And I'm wondering if anybody's responded. And I haven't gotten that information yet.
okay,
So I'm still trying to get that.
okay.
And I know that, once I feel like I can drive a car again,
Yeah.
right, they told me they don't want me to drive.
No.
It is because of how I drive, but prior to this, but once I'm driving again, which I'd assume in another week or so, they'll tell me I'm okay to do that. But I've got to, reach out to these folks, and I'll go down and see Jim Sandin and try to get some contact information from him for those families. And then I'll make personal calls or write up personal letters. So.
Okay, thank you.
Would anyone be interested? I just keep having this idea keeps coming to my mind, like a golfing, like some form of a golfing event for a fundraiser at the Augusta Country Club. I mean, that might be something that would be interesting to people, as well as a race, like a running. Those things are, the race is pretty easy to put together, and a golfing event is actually fairly easy to put together as well. I don't know if there are any thoughts on that.
Well, you need somebody who's a golfer that really could, spearhead that.
Right.
And we do have the race for Apple Fest. I don't know if another race would work in town or not. There is a considerable amount of work, and I guess they always come up with T-shirts, things they give people. So, but maybe that's something for next year to continue with more fundraising.
And, maybe with Jared Golden's family down there at
Oh, down at Springbrook.
Yeah,
Springbrook, or even the 9-hole up at Meadows. So of course, the people I knew, they actually, went to school here. The people that originally built that up in Litchfield, the fathers. But I don't know the people that own it now, so.
I think they're going to talk with Tommy Crockett too, or Crocker, I guess. Is it Tom Crocker, the comedian? Okay, well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gary, I'm sorry, Gary.
Gary Crocker,
Yeah.
right.
Him, Gary Crocker, back in the fall, and things are still just so crazy with COVID. I'd like to get through. I don't think we'll ever be through it, because people will never be the same again. But I'll reach out to him, and once I'd like to use Cumston, but of course during the summer we don't have any opportunity to use that. So it'll have to be fall or winter when
Yeah, that's
Which is
fine.
fine.
Yeah, because we'll still be working away at this.
Yeah.
Herb Whittier
Mhm.
organizes a golf tournament to
Yes,
raise
he
funds.
does,
That's right,
right,
he
for the
does.
fuel assistance.
Fuel assistance
Yeah.
Right.
at the Cobb.
Cobbessy, yeah.
And well, there is a road race here on June 18th, I guess connected to the fair, right down here. And then there's the
Apple Fest.
Apple Fest.
Yeah.
But you could always, you need somebody who's just motivated to
Right.
want to do the work involved.
Right.
Race director.
Yeah.
All things to think about, and if maybe we can get, ask around and see if people are interested in trying to pitch in for something like that, rather than commit to a whole time on the committee, jump in and.
Right, so like someone who has an interest in something. like that.
Exactly. Okay. Okay, now, the other thing wanted to talk about is in setting the time and agenda for the next meeting. With Nixon O'Day working on their first estimate on their, what we were gonna hopefully talk about tonight. Is there any interest in not waiting a month to see what they have, maybe scheduling for a couple of weeks ahead?
You mean,
to get together with Nixon O'Day so that they can give us, and I know you have something.
We can verify, but I would assume, I'm looking at like, if you did 2 weeks from tonight,
Right.
you're looking at the 7th of June.
Mhm.
That would be probably gives them enough time to
Yeah,
pull stuff together.
so can you guys check your calendars for the 7th of June? And see if that's something doable for us, and I'll reach out to Nixon O'Day and see if they can, or if they think that they'll be ready. That's 2 weeks from tonight.
I'm okay with that, and there doesn't look like there's anything planned
Oh, for this room?
for that room. No.
Okay,
Will they be ready? And
We'll have to figure that
verify.
out.
we're gonna verify that, Doug.
They should be, but
Chris is okay,
the way to
Steve,
I
find.
think I can make it.
yep, I think I can make that.
Larry, okay.
I had another question.
Yeah, hold on, Sarah, how's your schedule looking?
I'm in Boston for 3 days that week, so I will not be here. I'll be in Boston.
Could you Zoom from Boston or would you be busy?
I'm in a medical, I will be
Oh.
going down to a medical appointment
Yeah.
on, I think that day I'm seeing, I can try to Zoom.
Well, okay, and if they can't do the 7th, do we have an
The following
alternative?
week,
The
maybe?
following week, which would be the 14th?
It's election day.
Oh,
Oh,
it is?
yeah, that's, so,
I'm out of town that week.
well, we'll shoot for the 7th and then we'll hope for that. And Sarah, what we can do is we can just bring you up to date.
Okay.
Does that work? Okay. All right, so I'll reach out to Nickerson O'Day. So 6 o'clock here. And for that particular meeting, I'm thinking we should focus primarily on the budget.
Mhm.
Yeah,
and
I
just
agree.
the Following,
That's the main thing we need to get figured out.
right.
I mean, we'll continue to be developing drawings, but that.
Right. So for that particular meeting, we'd be looking at the budget with
Yeah.
the design team and Nick and O'Day. Okay, so then that means that our next scheduled meeting would be on the 21st. How's everybody look for the 21st? Chris, does the 21st work for you? Did we lose you?
No, I just had muted myself. There's a development committee meeting that night on the 21st in that building.
Okay.
So the 20th and the 22nd are open in the building.
Okay, the 22nd, Wednesday?
Should be
Yeah,
okay.
that works for me. Paul, how about you? Okay, yeah, let's go for the 22nd. Wednesday, 6:22. And for that meeting, we can get back to our standard
Right.
agenda, discussion, in discussion with you and with Nixon O'Day, fundraising, select board updates.
Mhm.
Updates maybe from you, Steve, if there's anything that you've been working with,
Okay.
okay? So let's go with that.
When did you say the fair was? Is that,
22nd to the 25th.
Mhm.
okay,
My question was, I've taken a lot of notes
Mhm.
that would try to answer some of what I've heard for concerns. And I would write up my select board notes, but regarding what I've heard tonight.
Mhm.
And if you like, I'll send it to you. and
That would be lovely because I might steal some of your notes.
So just so that would, when Chief Peters puts it in the advertiser, it will be,
No, that's fine, but yeah, if you could send me a copy, that would be great.
Okay.
And I'll make sure that everybody gets them. Perfect.
And I'll, yeah, put it in the advertising.
Awesome.
To approve.
Oh, everybody think that that works?
I approve.
I approve.
Do we need to vote?
Do we need to vote on that? We want to make a motion?
I move that Doug send his notes to Dawn for
Mhm.
approval.
Mhm.
Need a
I'll
second.
second that.
Okay.
Yes.
And then they can be posted. Perfect, okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sarah, I see you, Chris?
Yes,
Yeah,
Chris.
good. All right, notes. Okay, so Larry, and then Steve,
Yeah.
and then 0. Okay, all right. Any more public comment, public? You all set? Okay. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second
All
that.
right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Chris. Hope you're feeling better. Thank you, Sarah. Glad you're getting through your COVID.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, thank you, everybody. Wasn't too